Right, 3 December 2023, and today I have got an update on the most important news that is taking place in Zimbabwe this week, and all of them revolve around Sengezo Tshabangu, who is the self-imposed CCC Secretary General. And I want to clarify what is happening with Sengezo Tshabangu and also Chamisa. Specifically, there are now discussions taking place between Chamisa and Tshabangu. These discussions are at a number of levels. So there is the court process, which Chamisa has lost. Chamisa has lost so far 2 court cases against Tshabangu. That is the court case where they actually wanted to stop Tshabangu from recalling more people, and the court case in which they wanted to reverse those recalls on the MPs. So the elections, the by-elections are going to take place, obviously, and the second batch of MPs that was recalled is also going to be subject to a by-election. There is now another court case where Tshabangu is looking to stop the recalled CCC MPs from contesting under the CCC banner. So the situation is looking very, very bad for Nelson Chamisa in terms of Tshabangu winning in court. And therefore, Chamisa has decided to negotiate with Tshabangu. According to Tshabangu himself, last night he was talking to Blessed Mhlanga on Hearts and Soul TV. So he revealed that there's now a committee of pastors, so church leaders, that have been sent by Nelson Chamisa to negotiate with him. So he has also set up his own committee of church leaders in Bulawayo, who are now meant to talk to the other church leaders from Harare. And at the same time, there are 2 meetings that have been held between Tshabangu and representatives from Chamisa's side. That is MP Dubeko. I have not talked to MP Dubeko about this, so I'm going to ask him to give me detail to say what is really happening. Because if you go to the Twitter handle of Professor Jonathan Moyo, you see that there are meeting minutes between the 2 parties where they are talking. They have discussions, and there are 2 meetings that have been held. Professor Jonathan Moyo has shared those minutes, and last night Tshabangu confirmed that those minutes are a true reflection of the meetings that have been held between Chamisa's group, led by MP Dubeko, and his side. So they are discussing, and the reason why they're having discussions. So I want to now go quickly into why they're having discussions. So the people who are behind Tshabangu, they're not people from outside the CCC. Right? The ZANU is capitalizing on the situation, but there are people within the CCC who are behind Tshabangu, who are supporting Tshabangu. And Tshabangu has revealed those names of those people last night. You can go and have a look at the interview. He has named Tendai Biti, he has named Watchman Ngube, he has named Charlton Wende as 3 people, and he's given reasons. So I'm going to break down the reasons that he's given. He said Tendai Biti, if he was against what he's doing, he can go to court and present an affidavit, but has not done so. Similarly, Watchman Ngube has not presented an affidavit. And Wende, Tshabangu has revealed that Wende is reporting to him on what is happening in parliament, because obviously Tshabangu can recall people. So Tshabangu says he is meeting, or he has had meetings with Wende. So this is in the interview. He is not talking things that are not happening. Those are things that are happening. He's having meetings with Wende about parliamentary business of the CCC. And there is an affidavit that Tshabangu has got that was written by one of the leaders to appoint him as the Secretary General of the CCC, of the acting Secretary General. So he's saying when he goes to court, he presented these documents. That is why the court is listening to him because he's been given those documents. So the negotiation between Chamisa and Tshabangu is basically a negotiation between Chamisa, BT, Chamisa on one side, BT, Wende, Ngube, and the other leaders. Obviously, Kupe is in there because Kupe is very closely related to Tshabangu. There is a close relationship between all the team that was in Bulawayo and what Wende is doing, what Tshabangu is doing. Tshabangu is representing various interests, and the interest is these people are saying when you form the CCC, you dissolved us. So you remove the position of vice president, you remove the position of secretary general, you remove the position of organizing secretary. All those positions that were existing no longer exist. So they're saying they want those positions back. That is why you see Tshabangu running around up and down. These guys want their positions back. And they're saying the current CCC cannot just exist without having came from somewhere. That is the whole essence of the argument that you're seeing with Tshabangu. Tshabangu is acting with the blessing of people who are within the party because they could easily kill this. If when they was to submit an affidavit in court and say he was the Secretary General, the acting Secretary General of the CCC, the whole case is dead because Tshabangu cannot be Secretary General when there is another well-known Secretary General who was appointed. And if they continue to fight with the Tshabangu, it's going to eventually recall them. But you can see that they've not been recalled. Wende has not been recalled. He's in parliament. So this is what Tshabangu was saying. And Tshabangu is not someone who is very difficult to read. When you look at him, he's very, very easy to read. He is knowledgeable, but he's not complex. If you look at Tshabangu, you can see he has someone behind him, but obviously he's able to talk for himself. He is not a stupid person. Like many people want to think that Tshabangu is just dumb. He's not dumb. He is someone that is acting, but there is a committee or a team giving him the strategic direction. And this strategic direction is what Chamisa has to deal with. And I want to obviously do what I normally do, to give Nelson Chamisa advice on this. And this is going to be very difficult for Chamisa. Remember, these guys are getting the funding. So they're going to have the funding from the parliament for the MPs. They're going to have the funding for activities. And Chamisa will eventually not have that funding. And the MPs will be forced to go to Tshabangu because they don't want to be recalled. So if I was Chamisa, what would I do? I would start a new thing. This is what I've been saying all along. This thing that ED is running right now is just about to collapse. And I want you guys to understand what I mean. I've been telling you that there's no money in Zimbabwe anymore. The guys in government are failing to run government. So whatever ED is building right now is just about to collapse. There is no future in what ED is doing. So Chamisa is going to have short-term pain, which is maybe a year. During this 1 year, Chamisa should rebuild the CCC and rebrand it again from scratch and leave these guys to go with the current CCC. It can be done. And I think Morgan Tsvangirai has also had to do it quite a number of times. Remember, we came from MDC, MDCT, then went to MDC Alliance, then eventually there is a CCC now. These are just names. And Chamisa should not be afraid to let go of the CCC. These are vehicles. The popular person in Zimbabwe is Chamisa. And the problem we have in Zimbabwe, it's not at parliamentary level. It's not at Senate level. The problem we have in Zimbabwe is at presidential level. Once you have the president, all these issues that we have in Zimbabwe is going to be sorted. The issues of dictatorship, the issues of a constitution, all those issues are just discussions. They mean nothing. Go to EFF, right? It's a political party that is very popular. No one has that kind of discussion. It's known that Julius Malema is the commander-in-chief. Go to the ANC. There is no challenge on who is president. So it's clear there must be clear leadership, but there must also be clear structures. And these clear structures cannot be built with the old leadership that was there. So Chamisa must be willing to create a new leadership, but it cannot operate without structures. ZANU-PF is managing to outmaneuver Chamisa, even if it doesn't have structures. So he needs structures. But the structures that must have are not the traditional structures. This is the point that I've been making and during my discussions with the guys in the CCC. The traditional structures that you have of Secretary General, Vice President, and so on, they're easy to infiltrate. But if you use structures that are based on a board and which are based on councils and committees, they are more difficult to infiltrate because then committees, they easily change. So if you've got a committee chairman, if you've got a regional chairman, what he did with the National Citizens Council, the National Citizens Council now needs to be properly constituted, to have people who are visible. And Chamisa needs to use his diaspora base. And when I talk about the diaspora base, there need to be proper structures in the diaspora, in the UK, United States, because they've destroyed these structures now. So Chamisa, his base is there, but it's hanging in the air. So he needs to reconstitute everything. But a clear position that needs to be filled is the president, the vice president. There's need to fill the position of a vice president. You need to properly fill the position of a spokesperson. You need to have proper departments. So communication department, you need to have a finance department, you need to have a strategy department. You see, so that the party has proper people that work there. And you can have these people as volunteers. You can easily do it because diaspora is there in the CCC. CCC has got a lot of support. And Chamisa himself has got a lot of support. But if you look at what Tshabangu is saying, he is talking about returning the CCC to what it was before the election. And that is a bad idea. Chamisa should not accept that. That is a terrible, terrible idea to do that. Now, let's talk to other things here that Tshabangu dealt with. As I said, the negotiation between Chamisa and Tshabangu is being handled by the pastors. So there are pastors that will be sent by Chamisa to Tshabangu. And Tshabangu has set up his own committee of pastors, which is based in Bulawayo. But the actual committee, the people who are behind Tshabangu is BT, Nube, and Wende. Wende has been named, and he's meeting with Tshabangu. So he has now to come out and deny what Wende said, what Tshabangu said. Tshabangu said he meets with the Wende, and he met with the Wende because he's reporting on the parliamentary activities to him. And obviously that's true, because if you don't report to Tshabangu, you get thrown out. How come they haven't been thrown out? Now let's look at other things that were said here besides the church leaders. Right. He is saying here, eventually Chamisa will understand what he's doing. That is Tshabangu. Tshabangu is saying eventually Chamisa will understand what he's doing, which is to clean up the party. And he explains that most of the leaders that were in the old CCC supporting. So this is where we are. And they also believe that Chamisa has made mistakes with the current MPs that they've deployed. So they believe they could have done better. And obviously, there is the issue of what the party represents. They have got a fundamental difference with Chamisa on what does the CCC represent and the strategic and ideological direction of the CCC. So the issues that are being raised are not Tshabangu issues. These are issues from the people that I've mentioned here, which is BT, Nube, and Wende. People who are very, very close to Chamisa. I do not know where Mahere stands because she was in Bulawayo a week ago, I think last weekend. I do not know if she met with Tshabangu, and I don't think she's got the best of understanding the old MDC issues because she was not in the MDC. So we have a very, very serious issue taking place here in the CCC. And also, Tshabangu keeps making promises, but he does not fulfill them. For example, he said he's going to bring out a list explaining why he recalled each MP. For example, he said some of the girls who were there are girlfriends. So he's going to list which girlfriend and of which person. So we would want to see, obviously, which people are those. He has also said that there's an affidavit. So when the court papers come out, we're going to look at those that evidence to say who wrote and who signed that affidavit. There's a bank account that has been opened at CBZ. Who is the signatories on that bank account? There are so many issues here that needs to be dealt with. Now I want to go to the court case. The CCC has lost the interdict case against Tshabangu. And the reason why they lost the interdict case is that their lawyer, a very experienced lawyer, did not submit certain papers. I always keep saying to you, when Senator Pogen speaks here, you must listen to me very, very carefully, because he knows what is happening. The lawyers that are being deployed by Chamisa, they're making mistakes, fundamental or basic layman mistakes. They are not submitting certain documents. They're assuming that the court will be lenient on them, and they're taking for granted what Tshabangu can do. Tshabangu is using the same lawyer as ED. So these guys are very, very experienced. They're not people that you can take for granted. So when they make such mistakes, the long-term impact of such mistakes is very, very big. And as I said, Chamisa should leave these courts, should disassociate with himself with everything that is happening and start a new thing. If this government is just about to collapse, you saw the budget. The budget means that they've got no money. Very, very soon, they are going to be unable to pay salaries. You saw they're trying to raid cash deposit boxes. They're trying to raid bank accounts. I told you that they've changed the retention levels last month. So if you export, they've changed the retention levels. They've broadened where they can take money. They're trying to tax people everywhere. But this won't work because the government of ED, no one is recognizing that government. No, ED is not recognized anywhere. It's only recognized by people who can't give him money. Right now, he went to Dubai. He comes back with nothing everywhere he's going. So basically, the government of ED is about to collapse. It won't last the 5 years if he continues like this. So Chamisa should focus on the dialogue, focus on SADC, and rebuild his party. But this party must be properly built. The negotiations with Tshabangu, if they lead into anything, the guys who are vice president, they should not come back into the position of vice presidents. They must become committee leaders. There's a role, obviously, for BT and Ngube and all that. But the problems that we've had ever since the opposition, we have the same players over and over again. And this is what needs to be resolved. So that court case was lost because they failed to file certain papers. As Senator Pogen said here, the persons who are supposed to file affidavits are not filing those affidavits. And when they file papers, they're not following the court rules. So in this case, they did not follow a certain court rule. They did not present the appeal to all the people who are supposed to receive that appeal. And then they lost the court case. And when Tshabangu challenges them in court now and says they can't contest, you're going to end up without Ostalos, you're going to end up without all these people that way, because they submitted their nomination papers under the CCC, which I think is the wrong advice. So Chamisa needs to form a new thing. He needs to address the issues that are being raised. But currently, as I said, there is a negotiation taking place between Tshabangu and Chamisa through the pastors, according to Tshabangu. And Tshabangu said he's not ZANU-PF. He was countersigning for MPs, councillors, and senators during the election, the past election. Therefore, he is not an imposter. That is why the court has found that he's not an imposter. But I'm not saying that is correct. I'm just saying the law works in a specific way. It doesn't work the way we do. When I'm talking here on social media, I can say what I want. But then when you go to court, it doesn't mean that the court is going to accept that. They follow rules. And these are the rules that the guys should follow. And Chamisa, I think he needs to stay totally away from the courts, focus on what is going to happen very, very shortly, which is the collapse of the Mnangagwa government. The Mnangagwa government is unable to function without recognition, and it's not being recognized anyway. They're running out of money. The Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is scrambling. The Ministry of Finance is scrambling. Everyone in that government, they have no clue what they're doing right now. So this is the update that I have for today. I unfortunately don't have access to my newspapers today, so I won't be able to give you the latest news today of what is happening this Sunday in Zimbabwe. I've no the people who normally provide me with the newspapers today have not provided me as yet. So I probably have the papers tomorrow. But these are the big issues. The recall, the interdict has failed. Chamisa has lost that case on a technicality. They did not provide the right papers to court. So the case was dismissed. Then Tshabangu has revealed who is behind him, which is BT, Ngube, and Wende. He has meetings with Ngube, with Wende. He said that he's got meetings with him, and Wende must now deny that. Then there's obviously the issue of the negotiations, which is between the churches and the pastors. So the pastors from Chamisa's side and the pastors from Sengezo's side, they're talking, and the outcome is obviously that side wants to come back and take their position up. And Chamisa on his side is saying this is a new thing. So they need to find an answer in between. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And I'll continue to give you updates on SADC and the elections. They are still holding, or it actually ended yesterday, the SADC Elections Commission's Forum. They were meeting in Cape Town. And there is a lot that come out of there. Please go and keep looking at the stuff that will be posting throughout the day. Thank you very much, and good morning to you all. See you again in the evening.